everybody, John here from Invest Rep, and welcome back to another episode. Great to have you all back. So on tonight's episode we are going to show you how to choose a healthy snake as a first time snake keeper. And what's happened is that my friends and colleagues at Invest Rep have chosen a snake from my personal collection. They're going to hand it over to me as if I've never seen the snake before. I'm going to unbox it and have a look and show you all. So I hope that they haven't chosen me a snake that is going to bite me. I hope that they've been sensible about this, but let's get stuck in. I don't see a snake yet. I can see that it's a burrowing snake, and I hope that it's not one of my viper boas, because then I'm likely going to get bitten. In front of you all, let's have a look, see. It is not a viper boa. It is a Mandarin Red Snake. Beautiful snake. Okay, alright guys, so before we jump into this, a bit of a disclaimer. We obviously aren't going to go through the selection of dangerously venomous snakes or large constrictors where the handling is going to change, or overly defensive snakes that are trying to bite you during this process. We're just going to use this Mandarin Red Snake as the showcase example. And yeah, and some of you might be thinking that, well, John, a Mandarin Red Snake's not a beginner snake either, which isn't necessarily true. Provided you can get your hands on healthy, preferably captive bred stock. They are really straightforward to look after, really straightforward to care for. They haven't got the most complicated husbandry requirements, and do fairly well so long as you don't overheat them. They like temperatures a bit on the cooler side. But yeah, let's get into it. So, just a quick overview of the snake while I'm holding it. I can see that the snake's body condition is good. It's not obviously overweight or underweight. It's moving really well through my hands. I don't feel any kinks or any issues along the body, things like that. And I often do this while I'm chatting to the seller, without that seller necessarily being aware of that. I'll stand and ask questions about the snake's history, so on and so forth. And while I'm doing that, I'm concentrating with my hands on the snake's body condition, so feeling for any lumps, bumps, any abnormalities whatsoever. Okay, so that's just the basic overview of the snake. It's moving well. It's responsive to stimulus, to touch stimulus. It's doing what it should be doing. It's moving quite fluidly. Another thing that I might do also while I'm talking to the seller, or if I'm not even, is just see if the snake will bridge from hand to hand, see what its responses are, things like that. But so far, so good with this one. And then we can fine tune our physical exam of the snake. We can start either end. Tonight we are going to start at the head end. So I'm going to have a look, and also as the overview, going back to the basic overview while you've just taken the snake out, check for things like shed skin. And what you can do as well is kind of try and separate the scales with your fingers, just gently, to see if you can dislodge any mites that might be hiding beneath the scales. Haven't seen any of those yet, and a good place to look for mites in your more fine-tuned physical exam would be on the head as well, and I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so what we are going to do here is have a good look at the snake's head, right? And what I'm doing here initially is I'm looking for any stuck eye caps, the ocular scale. And one way of telling if a snake does have a stuck ocular scale is that the one eye might seem a bit more dull than the other, and generally a white ring around the eye where that ocular scale is stuck, or that eye cap is stuck. And then going into a further kind of close-up inspection underneath the snake's head, looking for mites, and just gently restrain the snake. And then what you want to do is just kind of separate the scales underneath the jaw. Mites often like to hide in there. Just gently with your fingers, see if you dislodge any, see if anything starts moving around that might indicate the presence of mites. Okay, we've done that. I don't see any mites on top of the head. I don't see a stuck ocular scale. Again, the snake appears so far to be in good health. And then what I'm going to do is take one of these snake sexing probes. And if you're going to be buying snakes or you're keeping snakes, always have sexing probes on you, because you never know when you might have to run a physical exam on the snake, determine the sex of a snake by probing it, or probe somebody for answers. But they're a very good tool to have, and just provided you keep them sterile after use. So what I'm going to do here is just quickly open the snake's mouth, just very gently manipulate the snake's mouth open with the probe. Gently, gently, gently. You don't want to rush this process, and often the snakes struggle back, which is understandable. And then what I'm going to do is just have a quick look inside the mouth. I'm not seeing any bubbles being blown or excess saliva, which might indicate a respiratory infection. I don't see any redness or inflammation inside the mouth, which might indicate an infection of sorts. Stomatitis or mouth rot will present as kind of like a cheesy like build up inside a snake's mouth. Not seeing any of that going on, so to not further stress on the animal at all, or any further, any longer, I'm going to take the probe out. I'm happy with what I see there. I'll set the probe aside for later disinfection. Okay, I'll run down the snake again, have another feel. I don't feel any hard lumps in the animal, everything looks good. And then what I'm going to do is just have a quick look at the cloaca here. At the base of the tail, I don't see any crusting of the cloaca. I don't see any unusual discharge, nothing along those lines. And the snake, for all intents and purposes, looks quite healthy. So then I can loosen up my grip again, can go back to gently handling the snake, let it move around at will. Snake has been behaving very well so far. And then I've decided now I'm going to want to buy the snake. So I'm going to just put it back in its container very quickly. And then I'm going to run through a few tools of the trade that you should have in your snake selection toolkit, for times like this. So we've touched on sexing probes. And they come in various gauges. Some come in nice little carry boxes. Here's the lubricant that we'd use for determining sex in a snake when it comes to probing, and we'll cover that in another video. But yeah, basic probe kit, here's one. These are the ball tip ones. That will come in a nice little bag like that, and you can see the ball tip on the probes there. And this is just personal preference. I've got both, so I've got a set of the ball tips and I've got a set of the straights of various gauges, the various thicknesses, and I keep these clean after every single use. So these are very handy, and obviously sexing snakes, they have multiple uses like I showed you just now, opening a snake's mouth, things like that. So there we are, basic probing set. You can go back in the box. And then a kit that I use very often, it's one of these dissection kits. There's multiple tools in there. You can see the little sharp edge instrument there, another kind of just straight probe, various tweezers, a scalpel blades, or scalpel blade holders, scalpel blades, and then scissors of various kind of point thickness, blunt and sharp. And these come in very handy. You can obviously use the tweezers as well for opening snakes' mouths, for kind of removing the ocular scale. Obviously this all comes with a bit of practice, but a very, very useful kit to have. And I use this in feeding operations, in inspection operations of snakes coming in. If they're stuck shed, eye caps, things like that, they come in handy. So if you can get your hands on one of these, very good little kits to have. Okay, and then obviously you can go up in your size of tweezers. These as well work, especially for larger snakes, to insert in the mouth and open. If you unhinge them, you can manipulate a larger snake's mouth a bit wider open to see if there's any issues going on there, or if you need to treat something in a snake's mouth. So these are also come in very handy, these alligator clip tweezers. And then just little handling equipment. If you're unsure how a snake is going to behave when you first go to have a look at it, it is nice to have just these small little hook sticks to carry around, just to see if the snake is going to respond defensively, and obviously when it comes to dangerously venomous snakes, things like that. But yeah, that is basically it. I hope this has helped. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. It means the world to us. We really appreciate it. And we will see you in the next one.